News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Willard's suspension upheld. Good morning, everyone. It's Montana Morning. It's Tuesday, March 15th, the Ides of March, 2016. Right now, we did have some light snow this morning, 32 degrees. Roads are primarily bare and wet. From I-90 St. Regis to Lookout Pass, snow-packed and icy, from I-90 from St. Regis to Lookout Pass, and from Lolo Pass to Lolo Hot Springs. There's a winter weather advisory above 2,500 feet until 11 o'clock this morning. Our newscast this morning is sponsored by Dig It Excavating. They bring 30 years of excellence to every job. For all your excavation needs, call Glenn at 214-4292. Our top story this morning. Last night, the Missoula County School Board of Trustees upheld the suspension of Willard High School principal Jane Bennett over the publication of an issue of the Willard Wire newspaper that was deemed obscene by MCPS officials. Attorney Paul Lesher attempted to defend Bennett and clarify the issue.
The only thing we're here to decide was whether it was necessary to discipline Jane Bennett, the principal of Willard High School, for what the student publication at Willard High School published. The district has decided that apparently was necessary. We think it's fairly apparent that it wasn't.
Lesher offered the Supreme Court's definition of obscenity.
The whole work must appeal to a prurient interest in sex. It must portray sexual conduct as specifically defined by the applicable state law in a patently offensive way. And it says it has to lack serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value.
Our news partners at NBC Montana report, in her response, the district's legal counsel, Elizabeth Kaleba, said they were comfortable with the district's right to pull the paper. All but one of the trustees voted to uphold that suspension. The father of a 5-year-old Denver boy whose mother shot him while he slept at his grandfather's house here in Montana said he had tried for months to convince Colorado child welfare authorities that his son was not safe while with his mother. Ken Kreuscher told the Denver Post 41-year-old Sarah Atkinson had threatened to kill herself and said she was going to, quote, take him with me, end quote. Officials in Muscle County in Montana say she did just that on March 5th, shooting the boy in the head with a .22 caliber rifle before turning the gun on herself. 38-year-old Ava Marie Brown and her husband, 45-year-old Addison Brown, were both charged yesterday with felony criminal endangerment, along with various drug and traffic offenses, after allowing a child to wander unsupervised on Highway 93 North over the busy Evero Hill on a dark and rainy night. Deputy Missoula County Attorney Celine Kepke told Judge Matt Erickson details of the incident.
The defendant was highly intoxicated. He refused to give blood because he admitted to smoking marijuana and stated it would show up in a test. He gave an intoxilizer sample of a .135. He was also cited for several other misdemeanor offenses, Your Honor.
Later in the day, Kepke told KGVO News that Ava Brown was also heavily intoxicated.
Her husband was arrested for driving under the influence, and this defendant was so intoxicated she either let her 3-year-old out of the car to wander on the highway or failed to supervise her, and her child got out of the car. This is very concerning behavior, and Child and Family Services is now involved.
Addison Brown was held on $10,000 bond, while Ava Brown was held on $2,500 bond. Again, the child is in the custody of Child Protective Services. Montana environmental regulators want more details about potential water contamination before they'll approve a copper mine that opponents fear could harm the Smith River and its acclaimed trout fishery. Tom Livers is the director of the Montana Department of Environmental Quality. He said Monday that a December application for the mine lacked key details on its impacts to groundwater supplies and 2 Smith River tributaries. The $218 million Black Butte Copper Project is proposed by Tintina Resources north of White Sulphur Springs. Livers says Tintina needs to submit more geochemical data to justify its plans to leave underground about half the tailings from that mine. Missoula police are searching for a suspect in a mysterious stabbing incident that occurred early Sunday morning. Public Information Officer Travis Welsh has more.
Yeah, we had a report about 3:23 a.m. of a male who arrived at local hospital with a stab wound to his chest and some kind of a wound on his left forearm. The male stated he was approached by a suspect who demanded money from him before stabbing him. He didn't know where exactly he was stabbed or what time, thought it was somewhere in the downtown area.
With so little to go on, the police are asking the public for help.
We're looking for anybody that might have information about that might help clear up some questions we have, obviously, about the details of the incident, and we'd ask them to call Detective Mitch Lang here at the police department.
Those who wish to remain anonymous can contact Crime Stoppers at 721-4444. Getting public records from Montana's top elected officials sometimes takes a bit of nudging. In the case of Governor Steve Bullock, sometimes it takes a bit of waiting. The Associated Press recently did a spot check on how cooperative public officials are in responding to public records requests. When asked for a week's worth of emails and schedules, House Speaker Austin Knudsen and House Majority Leader Keith Regier produced the documents almost immediately. That was not the case for Senate President Debbie Barrett and Senate Majority Leader Matthew Rosendale, both of whom needed a little prodding. Montana State Representative Brad Sheeta is trying to draw attention to Governor Steve Bullock's use of a Beechcraft King Air plane. Sheeta said the governor should have save taxpayers' money, and drive to events in areas like Butte and Missoula that are within a 2-hour radius of Helena, rather than use a plane with a cost he estimates at more than $1,000 per hour. Furthermore, Sheeta says the governor's been using the plane for campaign purposes.
The governor is using the plane for state business and for campaign purposes. It seems to me a very legitimate request of us to him to declare the use of the plane, at least 50% or whatever corresponding percentage would be reasonable, as an in-kind contribution to his campaign from the state of Montana.
An opinion piece by Sheeta titled "Let's Hold Bullock Accountable" appeared in papers across the state last Friday. On Monday, Montana Mayor John Engen responded in a piece in the Missoulian entitled "Bullock is Doing His Job for the Citizens," in which he says that Sheeta's arguments are cliched and desperate. Sheeta accuses Engen of taking the low road.
When he refers to me using words that I didn't use, such as bilking the public or referring to the governor as a liar, neither one of those were used in the commentary. What I would mention to the good mayor is that his responsibility as a leader is to set an example and set a tone. It's unfortunate that he chose to take the lower road, but that's his choice to make.
The state plane's been at issue many times in the past, and charges have been leveled against both Republican and Democratic governors for misuse of that aircraft. A Martin City man suspected of dealing drugs is looking for money after a judge ruled he couldn't have the $6,000 seized during his arrest for bail. The Daily Interlake reports 52-year-old Scott Downing asked that his bail be reduced from $100,000 and that the $6,000 in suspected drug payments seized at the time of his arrest be returned to him. He's been in the Flathead County Detention Center since January 25th on a theft charge. Our News Talk time now is 6:12.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Mostly cloudy to cloudy skies today with scattered snow and rain showers. High temperatures will climb into the mid to low 40s. Winds will be breezy at times with wind gusts up to 20 miles per hour. A chance of snow again tonight. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for KECI 13.